Good time zone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Iodine. I'm your host, Benny. And today I am reading some more Suicide. So let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome, Poyo. Welcome, Batman. Make sure you do your Duolingo, Poyo. Here's your reminder, as you asked. What language are you doing in Duolingo? Also, I'll actually be right back. My ear is itching, so I'm gonna go clean it real quick. German, huh? Das ist gut. I just noticed that I didn't load Odie up, so let's go ahead and start them. Ich bin ein Berliner. All right. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Suicide by Bennykill709. Chapter 4. Jacques had a look of fear that was presenting itself as unbridled rage. He was pacing next to Chris, who was futilely trying to console him. As soon as Jacques saw Theo step onto the floor, he pulled himself out of his husband's grasp and made a beeline to the detective. "Have you found out anything about Amelie yet?" Jacques' question was pointed. There was no delicate way to handle the situation that Theo could think of. "Jacques, we've already had this discussion. If I'm investigating your daughter, it means she's already dead." "Yeah, Theo, I know it's not your department. I don't give a shit about your goddamn job. I want my fucking daughter back. And you have the resources that can make it happen." Jacques was so angry that he was visibly shaking. You'd think a longtime friend might do a little more to help, even if it meant doing it off duty. Jacques waited for a response but didn't get one. Theo wanted him to let it all out. "What is it, Maybe you'd be more interested if I wasn't black?" "Well, Amelie's not. So there shouldn't be a problem there, right? Maybe if I wasn't gay? Or maybe if I wasn't a cop? Or maybe it's because I'm not a cop. Special treatment if you're in the club?" Jacques knew that none of this was true for Theo. But it was cathartic to be able to get his distrust of the institution out into the open air. Still, he wanted to poke Theo a little more. He wanted some kind of reaction. "Maybe if it was your own daughter?" Jacques said. This caught Theo's attention. His face curled, but he didn't say anything, inviting Jacques to continue as long as he considered his words very carefully. Jacques continued. "We'd probably have some dumb black kid already in custody. Charges might not fit the crime, but at least you'd have done something." Theo lunged at Jacques, grabbing him by his shirt collar and pulling him close. Theo's fist clenched as hard as his teeth, but he didn't throw any punches. "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Jacques," Theo shouted. He growled at Jacques, who wasn't flinching, only looking back at Theo with a similarly hostile expression. Theo looked around to see all the other detectives and officers on the floor looking at them, and a few of the closest had their hands hovering around their weapons. Even Chris had stepped forward and was holding Theo's wrist. Theo let go of Jacques' collar with a light shove and shook Chris's hand off him, then continued talking. "Did you just imply that if someone hurt your daughter, you wouldn't want them to be punished to the full extent of the law?" "No," Jacques said, now gently shying away. "It's just that..." "Just what, Jacques?" Theo's cold stare made Jacques start backing down. Just nothing. Sorry, Theo," Jacques said. Chris put his arm around him and started rubbing his back. "I didn't mean any of that." "It's fine, man. I won't patronize you by saying that I understand what you're feeling. But putting myself in others' shoes is a big part of the job, so... well, there it is." "I guess I did say it," Theo said. Jacques rolled his eyes with a chortle. "Do you have any more information that you can give us?" "Yeah, a few of her friends reached out to me," Jacques said. Got an account name I didn't know previously. We haven't done any searching on it ourselves yet. We're still trying to respect your privacy. I'm kind of afraid it's like a weird sex thing or something, so, you know. Okay, what is it? It's, Duffer Cuffer, Jacques said. Theo raised an eyebrow. It sounded familiar. They said she probably has a few variations on that. I don't know if that helps. Anything helps, thank you. I'll take a look. I'll also relay it to Shans in Holland. You should too if you haven't already. Yeah, we sent it to them as soon as we found it, but that was late last night, so... Alright, Theo said. He put a hand on both Jacques and Chris's shoulders and pulled him in for a hug. After pulling away, he turned to Chris. Make sure he remains as calm and collected as possible. And that goes for yourself as well. Theo smiled and Chris nodded. Let me know if you get anything else, okay? The trio hugged again before Theo walked them the short distance to the elevator. Before the doors were even closed, Theo had pulled up the forum's police access account and did a search for Duffer Cuffer. Not only did it come back with the account name Duffer Cuffer 857, but it revealed that Theo had discussions with her in the Boston Area Tech Philosophy Forum not even a week prior. As soon as he knew this, he turned on his heel and went directly to the captain's office. Captain Richardson was sitting at his desk, motionless except for the flickering light in his eyes. He looked at Theo as he entered, but returned back to his interface without a word. When Theo closed the door behind him, the captain knew it was something important. He gave Theo his attention, but not all of it. Hey there, Razor. Razor's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? So, Poyo, if you think you might have ADHD, I highly recommend you see if you can't convince your parents to get you tested or something, and look into maybe doing a little, seeing if you can try some medication or something. Cause this is thriller night, and no one's gonna save you from the beast about to strike. You know it's thriller night. You're fighting for your life inside a killer thriller tonight. Yeah. Good song. There are no people who can test in a 10-mile vicinity. No stream tomorrow? Your PlayStation goes to service. Why is your PlayStation being serviced, dude? Seems like it's working properly. Cleaning it every year. Interesting. Well, that's honestly, that's good. If your PlayStation had a soul, it would thank you. if it had consciousness, it would be very happy that you're keeping it maintained. You said there are no people that can test within a 10-mile vicinity? Is that the only distance you can do it? Because, doesn't seem like a long way away. Welcome back, Poyo. Might invest in what? How far do you think you can walk? Well, I mean, if you're asking, like, your parents or somebody to help you with that, getting a ADHD diagnosis, you don't think they would be willing to drive you somewhere? Do you really have to walk? I mean, I know you're in the UK and the whole driving thing is different than it is here in the United States. The OS is way bigger, and it's basically a necessity to have a vehicle if you want to get anywhere. Unless you're in, like, the largest cities, you know? And I'm not in the largest cities. So, drive a tractor, bud. You're doing your Duolingo? What is it, detective? The captain asked. I'm taking up Amelie Dumont's missing persons case and investigating it as part of the suicides. The hell you are? The flicker in the captain's eyes went away completely. He was now focused entirely on Theo. In disbelief. We've already had this discussion. But she's directly related to the case. And if I'm correct, she could be under the direct influence of the prime suspect as we speak. Direct influence? Like Stockholm Syndrome or what? I think he's a hacker who's been forcing people into an AI-generated virtual environment. A nightmare that they can't escape on their own. Okay, then let missing persons know to look out for someone freaking out. Shouldn't be too hard to spot. No, I think his control is more direct than that. While the victim's brain is trapped in a digital environment, I believe the suspect has been using their BSI to directly control their bodies. Controlling their bodies? Richardson asked with a raised eyebrow. Where did you hear that? A tween creepypasta forum? The The captain chuckled. Theo didn't. The captain continued. Are you fucking kidding me? No, Hugh, I'm not kidding. And he's been targeting people in the Boston area forum. The very same forum that Amelie has been frequenting before she was reported missing. If controlling another person's body with the BSI is possible, wouldn't Belle Westbrook know about it? Really? Is this your first time learning about a monolithic, multinational, trillion-dollar corporation? They aren't exactly known for being ethical and transparent in their research or business dealings. Alright, Detective. All I'm saying is that if something like that is possible, I think we would have learned about it by now. Captain Richardson shrugged and leaned back in his chair. But we are learning about it right now, Theo said, leaning forward and knocking a pointed finger against the captain's desk. The whole reason this case is happening is because you thought there might be a connection between these suicides. I have found that there are, in fact, suspicious circumstances. That this is a work of a killer, and I think he's about to do it again. We can't have you investigating your own goddaughter, Detective. Ah, who gives a shit about that fucking rule? Theo shouted. Just let me do a CCTV scan for her, and maybe a cop can do something respectable, like save a girl's life or catch a serial killer. No, Detective. Hand it off to missing persons. That is an order. Now he'll hear nothing more about it. Here's your next suicide in Dorchester. The captain waved his fingers, and his BSI sent the files over to Theo. As soon as he received the message, Theo fiddled with his stylus to look at the case. It took less than a second for Theo to see that the young man had no cybernetics. This is unrelated bullshit. The kid doesn't even have a BSI. Aren't you even reading my reports? You're over the line, Theo, the captain shouted, slamming his hand on the desk as he stood up to meet Theo's eyes. Keep pushing and you're going to find yourself suspended. Trust in the system. Hand your information off to Shands in Holland and get down to Dorchester. Captain Richardson stared Theo down. Now, Detective. I wish humans didn't have to yawn. Theo stepped back and gritted his teeth, then stormed out of the office. He tried to slam the heavy glass door, but the hydraulics caught it, bringing it to a slow and gentle close. As soon as he was out the door, Theo started working towards finding Amelie. The first thing he did was send a warrant for access to the personal data. It was granted within seconds, and Theo began scraping Emily's images, mirroring them, and running them through the BPD's facial recognition software. His vehicle met him at the pickup area outside the building. Theo stepped in and ordered it to a holding pattern around the city, while he started looking through Emily's forums history. The last message she received immediately caught his attention. Synapse. You want to see something really scary? Chills went down Theo's spine. As he kept reading, it was clear that Emily was another one of the users that was vocal in her disdain for Synapse, and had tried to get him banned on a few occasions. Of course, it never happened. She only put a target on her own back. He skimmed through Emily's chat history with Synapse in the hopes that something might reveal his location, or any actionable information that would help Theo to find him. He came up with nothing. Theo couldn't even be sure that Synapse was in Boston at all, the only indication being his presence on a few Boston area forums. Again, Theo tried to access Synapse's account directly using his police credentials. Instead of crashing just the forums app, Theo's entire interface crashed, causing his vision to freeze. Because his eyes were prosthetic, it left him completely blind for several seconds. Nothing like this had ever happened to him. As soon as it did, Theo felt panic quickly starting to rise within him. But when he saw the Bell Westbrook logo and initialization, he breathed a sigh of relief. The scare hadn't deterred him. Theo went right back into forums and Synapse's account, where his interface crashed again. He had to reboot 4 more times before he threw up his hands and switched back to finding Emily. The system came back with several hits at different parts of the city, since Emily had been missing. By themselves, there were too few data points to discern any sort of pattern. But when Theo compared the locations with those that he had gathered from Christina and Jackson, he found a few locations that had been visited by 2 of the 3. One in the waterfront where shadow recording was located, another in the fast food restaurant, another was at a fast food restaurant. But one location in particular had been visited by all 3 on multiple occasions. It was in a derelict neighborhood in Mattapan, the same camera that caught a glimpse of Christina. He had already checked out the fast food restaurant, and didn't expect he would get any better restaurant results if he had returned. So he ordered his car to the location in Mattapan. The vehicle came to a rest underneath the mobile surveillance unit that had caught the images of Christina and Emily. Theo was surprised to see that the unit was still in operation with the state that it was in. The chassis was almost completely covered in graffiti, and honestly brought some much needed color to the style to the area. Some of the panels had been broken into, and there were wires sticking out in some places. Theo stepped out of his vehicle and ordered it into a holding pattern outside of the neighborhood. He thought it might be a bit more conspicuous, such a shiny car hovering around such a shady neighborhood. Theo thought he would fit in more with his general attire, which was nothing to write home about. Watching the footage back provided little help. The pings all came from a small pane of broken glass in a window across the street from the camera. The captures were only a frame long, but Theo was at least able to make out their walking directions. The timestamps were a little erratic, making it hard for Theo to consider how long they were in the area, or allow him to calculate a range of how far he should explore. He wasn't even sure what he was looking for, but at least it was a good excuse for a walk. Theo watched as his digital companion cat, Chess, began darting around, leaping into bushes and seeking out insects to play with. Theo also produced a phantom cigarette and smoked as he walked. Without an exact purpose of direction, without an exact purpose of direction, Theo really just ended up following the cat around. Was that intentional? Without an exact purpose. Should of be or? Or does purpose of direction make sense? I don't know. It's too late to fix it. They really just ended up following the cat around. There were a few other people in the area, though nobody was interested in getting very close to Theo or one another. They could probably see the cop on him from a mile away, which was fine since Theo didn't expect that they would give him any good information anyway. He just wandered around the neighborhood in an expanding spiral pattern. As he surveyed the neighborhood, he considered what exactly he was looking for. The most obvious thing, he thought, would be finding Synapse himself walking around. But Theo also considered what Synapse would have been there for in the first place. There wasn't much to do in this neighborhood, with the main exception being purchasing drugs, though Theo didn't expect that's why Synapse was here. With a BSI, simulation of the effects of drugs was quite effective and potent, if imperfect as of yet. Instead, Theo wondered if he may have been meeting someone here for another purpose, perhaps to buy weapons. For a moment, Theo considered whether he was here to exchange hacks. He had to remind himself that exchanging data through physical media was something that hadn't been done in decades, and only ever showed up in film and television. In reality, the internet was a perfect data transference system for hackers. Anyone who was worth their salt knew how to keep their data encrypted. Theo didn't completely write off the idea, however. Synapse may have been onto something new in the ability to hack BSIs, but that didn't necessarily mean that he was universally competent. It had been a while since Theo had took a leisurely outdoor stroll. The setting wasn't particularly beautiful, considering the overcast sky and ruinous venue, but Theo felt a sense of calm nonetheless. As he watched his digital cat playing with the dandelions growing through the sidewalk, Theo opened his messages and sent a quick one to Kara. TM. Hey, beautiful. Heart face emoji. Just thinking about you. Wondered if you wanted to go on a date tonight. IRL or not. I just want to be with you. LMK, kissy face emoji. Just as Theo sent off the text, he turned onto a street where he saw somebody stumble around the bend, a distance away from him and out of view. They appeared to be destitute with worn clothes and dirty, unkempt hair. The way the person was walking caught his attention. Before continuing forward, Theo quickly browsed to his firewall settings and made sure they were up to date, then disabled his wireless firmware and set his eyes to pass-through only. He picked up his pace to reacquire visual, and when he did, he noticed that they were suddenly different. Their form was now that of a younger, slender person wearing dark clothing with long dark hair. Theo was too far away to make out the person's face, but every indication so far told him that he was looking at Amelie. Theo reacted with a reflexive memory, trying to send out urgent requests for badges to come assist him in grabbing her, but his overlay was still disabled, as was his wireless network connection. This gave him a moment to reconsider his plan. He wasn't sure how Synapse would react. The worst-case scenario would result in Amelie's death, and Synapse would leave her body as quickly as her soul. Theo also considered that the longer he waited, the greater likelihood that Synapse was going to do that anyway. A dilemma gripped his mind: whether he should try to get his goddaughter out of harm's way as soon as possible, or try to get more information about Synapse and try to prevent him from hurting more people. His indecisiveness made the decision for him as Theo began to follow the girl from an inconspicuous distance. Theo's stomach churned with the weight of his circumstance. He wondered whether he would get any information at all, or if, with every passing second, he was missing an opportunity to save the girl's life. He also considered the consequences if he did call it in. He was in for a lot of trouble having completely disregarded the captain's direct orders, but the potential to save a person's life was a reward that far outweighed the punishment he would receive. He studied her body language as he followed her. Beyond looking like a 100-pound girl who had downed a fifth of vodka, Theo could see that she was stowing something small and heavy in her hoodie's front pocket. Theo was starting to get an idea of what was happening. Synapse was currently using Amelie's body to help transport something. A weapon, drugs, tech. Theo wasn't sure what. But the way Amelie was guarding her front pocket was a dead giveaway. Now he just needed to see what Amelie was doing with it. Hey there, number 13th. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. How are you doing today? Been around the world, don't speak the language. What language is that? The language of the world? The person on the Litwick? Dang, Batman. You're just, walling out with your vehicles there. The stick drift is not gonna, have an effect on, how fast you're going, isn't it? Isn't that on the trigger? Or the R2? Oh, you're having stick drift on both of your sticks? That sucks, man. Alright. As Amelie passed a dark alleyway next to an old brick building, she stopped and looked around her immediate area. Theo was finally able to make a visual confirmation on her identity, confirming that it was who he expected. He ducked behind a vehicle as Amelie looked in his direction, and when he peeked back out, Amelie was gone. Into the alleyway, he assumed. From the layout of the buildings around it, Theo expected that the alley was a dead end, with only one point of ingress. So he stood on a spot and waited for her to come back out. After a couple of minutes, Theo was getting concerned that there was a tunnel or some other exit that he didn't expect. He began moving toward the alley just as Amelie stumbled back out. She seemed to look at Theo, but they were still hundreds of feet apart. Theo expertly altered his heading, hoping to appear as another random person on the street. Amelie didn't seem to respond to him, and continued on down the street in the same direction she was already heading. The fact that she didn't recognize him confirmed that to Theo that it was Amelie's body, but it wasn't Amelie at the helm. Theo knew he had to be even more cautious as he continued to follow. Alright. Synapse was no longer carrying the object. Theo made sure to memorize a few details about the location to come back and check later. He followed Synapse at a reasonable distance for hours as they stumbled out of the decrepit suburban neighborhood and around the city. Theo had lost sight of him a few times, but was able to quickly reacquire him. He usually wasn't hard considering his unique gait. But as it started to get darker, the task became more difficult, especially without the low-light filters that his eyes could provide. As Synapse wandered into a block of apartment buildings, Theo lost him again. After several minutes without eyes on Synapse, Theo picked up his pace, worried that he might have lost him for good. He ordered his car back to him and hopped in, then began driving around the block and down the alleyways. As the vehicle pulled out of an alleyway and onto a street, it came to an abrupt halt, followed by a thump, nearly throwing Theo out of his seat. "What the fuck?" Theo shouted. He looked out of the front window to see Synapse, holding himself up against the hood of a car. Synapse looked up into the vehicle, looking directly at Theo. A look of recognition filled his stolen face. Then he began shambling away in an attempt to run to the nearest apartment building entrance. "Shit," Theo said, having been made. He threw open the door of his vehicle and rushed into the street, drawing his revolver as he did so. "Boston police, freeze!" he shouted. To Theo's surprise, Synapse stopped on the sidewalk just in front of the apartment's front stoop. He turned toward Theo with his hands up. "Get on the ground," Theo said. Synapse replied with only a disconcerting smirk. "On the ground, now," Theo insisted, emphasizing his words with his large gun. Synapse didn't move. Theo took a step forward, then realized that Synapse wasn't looking at him, but instead was looking past him. Theo glanced behind him, only to see his vehicle, its door still wide open. As soon as he saw it, Theo realized what was about to happen. The tires turned toward Theo and began to squeal as the vehicle quickly accelerated toward him. Theo dashed to the side, effectively dodging the hood of the car, but he couldn't avoid the still open door. As it collided with the side, Theo wrapped his left arm around the door and lifted his legs, letting the vehicle take him. With the weight of his body, the door closed forcefully against his arm, causing him to yell out in pain. Have you posted this song before, Poyo? Your controller is officially broken. Oh, that sucks, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. I think before investing in any more games, I think it's probably a good idea to invest in another controller. Have a good one, Batman. Oh, the controller. Take the controller in with the PlayStation. They, yeah, that would be cool. They might be able to help you. Where have I heard this song before? How long ago did... At least 13 years ago. Huh. Didn't Jake actually say that? Alright. The vehicle continued to accelerate with Theo caught in the door, making it to nearly 40 miles an hour before colliding with the apartment building wall and launching Theo into the bricks. Theo crumpled into the sidewalk, gasping from the wind being knocked out of him. But he remained alert. He tried to pick up his revolver with his left arm, only to find that he wasn't able to lift it. He didn't think twice, grabbing it with his right hand and lumbered to his feet. His vehicle started reversing, pulling itself free from the wall and the curb, but losing its front bumper in the process. As it reversed, it lined itself up with Theo in preparation for another charge. Theo, now on his feet, rushed forward and dove to the ground, barely avoiding what could have easily been a lethal collision. As he landed on the ground against his left side, he now felt an immense pain throughout his entire arm and ribcage. "Fuck!" Theo cried, the cathartic action giving him just enough adrenaline to get back up and continue moving. He heard the shriek of his vehicle as it attempted to reverse again, but it was accompanied by a deafening metal clanking and no movement. Nonetheless, Theo didn't stand still long enough to inspect the damage. Synapse was already gone, having moved into the apartment building. Theo gave chase, quickly finding him moving into an open elevator. Theo rushed to catch it, but the doors were closing before Theo could reach him. Theo caught a glimpse of Synapse laughing before the doors shut completely. Theo immediately spammed the button to call the elevators in a futile effort. He looked up at the elevator status display just in time to see it glitch and change from the floor number to scrolling text. The fat pig could use some exercise. God damn it, Theo said, then quickly moved to the stairwell and began his journey upward. By the third floor, Theo's legs were like jelly, and by the fifth, Theo was completely out of breath and strongly considered giving up completely. After all, he had no idea what floor Synapse was getting off at. He paused only for a moment to reconsider his plan. And just as he was going to re-enable his wireless communication to call for backup, he heard a door slam open only a couple of floors above him. "You still coming?" Synapse shouted down the stairwell. He was leaning over the railing, twisting Emily's face into a wide grin. Theo continued his rush up the stairs. He could hear Synapse stumbling upward as well, heading for the roof of the building. The Despite his exhausted state, Theo was quickly gaining on Synapse. He was only seconds behind him through the roof access door. Theo whipped around with his weapon raised in his hand. "Freeze!" Theo shouted, much louder this time. He hoped that was all that was needed, and for a moment, it seemed that it was. Synapse had stopped and turned toward Theo. The detective's instinct was to rush Synapse and knock him to the ground. They were separated by only 10 feet, after all, but Synapse was closer to the edge of the building than he was to Theo. "Get on the ground, now," Theo said. Synapse started laughing. He glanced behind himself, then back to Theo. "Sure, it'll take about 2 seconds, but first, I just wanted to ask." Synapse trailed off. Theo knew exactly where this was going, and he was starting to panic. Synapse continued. "You want to see something really scary?" The revolver took longer to line up with Synapse's leg than normal, as his exhausted and damaged muscles functioned on pure adrenaline. Just when he was finally able to sight in and was able to squeeze the trigger, he was interrupted by an ear-shattering scream. Amelie had been given back control of her body, but it was immediately evident that she had not been given complete control over her eyes. Her expression was that of unbridled fear. Her primary focus was on Theo, but she was glancing in every direction. With an ostensibly new fear response at everything she saw. Theo removed his finger from the trigger and raised his hand, trying to placate her. "Amelie, it's okay. It's me, Theo," he said with a soft tone, but a loud volume cut through her terrified whimpering. "If you can hear me, please come this way." Theo took a tentative step toward Amelie. "No, stay away," she shouted. Her hands were out, trying to shield her face from Theo's image. She took a step back, keeping her distance from him and approaching the edge. "Please, Amelie, come away from the edge," Theo said, just as she glanced behind her to see the gap between the buildings. Amelie looked back at Theo, and in that moment, he could see exactly what she was thinking. As soon as she saw the drop, she had found a way out, and had already made the decision. Just as she started turning away from him, Theo lumbered forward, throwing his weapon aside. The girl took a step over the short concrete barrier. Theo leaped as far as he could with his arm outstretched. He hit the floor and slid forward, nearly over the building himself. But as Amelie dove into the gap, Theo's fingers were only able to brush her ankles. His fist closed tightly around thin air, and now there was nothing left to do but watch her fall. Her screams seemed to get louder as she fell away from him, the sound echoing off the brick walls, before it was cut short, interrupted by the loud vibrations of the sheet metal fence she landed on. The sharp metal completely severed one of his arms and nearly cut her torso in half. For a few seconds, Theo could see her struggle, trying futilely to remove her other arm from the fence. Theo didn't need to zoom in to see that she was still looking up at him. Tears fell from her eyes, and there was a final spasm before she became completely motionless. Okay. That was chapter 4. Things are starting to heat up. Things are starting to get Things are starting to get wild. I think I'm going to leave part 5, chapter 5 for Monday. But what should I do in the meantime? All right. What should I do? Should I play Elden Ring for an hour? What if? What if? Stable diffusion web UI. Web UI dot user dot bat. Started loading this up. And while I'm doing that, what's going on World Anvil? Universe is a glow up. Dun, 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 dun. I've fallen off of doing posts on social media when I start doing my readings and stuff. I really need to remember to start doing that again. Do I still have a subscription here? I mean, they still call me Master Bennykill709, which makes me think that, yes. Wow. This has 15,000 views and 0 likes and 0 comments. Sweet, dude. Sweet. Just what I want to see. Benny on the water, fire in the sky. Features guild membership. I'm a master of the guild. Says days until expiration, 28th of August 2024. What? But it still says that I'm a master of the guild. Still able to go to manuscripts, right? Yeah. New text editor on World Ever and Bill. All right. Okay, outputs, text damage grids. What are the latest ones that I have here? These look like hopeless characters. Ugh. Shall we make a new one that includes all of the suicide characters? Hey, have a good one, Batman. Is Hopeless going to be a part of NaNoWriMo? I wanted it to be. And I still do want it to be. But, how do I put this? Unfortunately, / hopefully, I can get a job before November. And if I do that, then I'm not going to have nearly as much time to write during NaNoWriMo. I think I'm still going to try and write during NaNoWriMo. But, yeah. So I think it will. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it as part of NaNoWriMo. But I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I will, but I'm just worried I'm not gonna be able to do much, you know. Your mate just went into his stock a bitch era. How about tell him not to do that? Stalking is not cool, man. actually do that. LoRa doesn't work, I think. So I'm gonna remove that. We all did as our friend group did. I don't think that's a good thing. You all should not stalk people. Do you know the game My Singing Monsters? I have never... No. I do not know. I've never heard that. What the hell? That was a weird bug. Oh, actually... Put that there, put that there. That there. Then we're gonna go. So we got Theo. Let's go ahead and put. Lily? Yep. Mysterious Montenegro young woman. This, put it here. That's Lily. And then Kara. You're making music in it right now. Cool. Are you streaming it, Poyo? Too late for streaming. Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, I need to save that. So we got Kara. Kara, Lily, Theo, Amelie. Let's see. Need to add Amelie to this one. Where's Jacques? Where is Jacques? Do I not have one for Jock? We'll go ahead and put Alice in here. I don't want to ever stream off my phone. Because my friends are assholes and will just spam my full legal name and address in my messages. Checkpoints. No. Laura's. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this as suicide characters. And Yeah. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So is this game like intended to like make music? Like is that the main point of the game, or is it kind of like a side thing? Bow, 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 bow. Let's just do... $16. DPM plus SDE cross. And we're gonna A detail. We're not gonna do two, just one. And only do the first. Yeah. Let's go. Wait a minute. Why didn't this have... Oh, is this the character in it? What are OSR or old school tabletop RPGs? Old school Renaissance, okay. Oh, Stars Without Number. I've wanted to play that. So OSR sounds cool. I do want to check that out. But I want to see what is cozy fantasy. Was this like a live stream? Oh, I think it was. Captions unavailable. So, I mean, I've been hearing cozy fantasy recently. I've been seeing rumblings. So, what to heck is it? She said I know it when I see it. That was originally used to describe porn. So cozy. I guess it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. Cozy fantasy. Or I guess just cozy fiction. Is stuff that makes the viewer feel, or reader feel cozy. Something that's lighthearted, something that can that you can smile at while reading. And it doesn't have to be like necessarily conflict free for the characters. But no, I don't know. What's going on Civitai? Haven't been there in a while. Halloween contest. Enter if you dare. Sorcery, show off your magical lore training and generation talents for a great Halloween contest. 25% off Flux Rapid Training to help you craft your spooky masterpieces. Enter here. What are the prizes? Image categories: cute, cute, creepy. Pumpkin Parade, Undead Uprising, Witching Hour, Haunted Landscapes. Okay. Prizes. Everyone who participates will receive a special participation badge. Oh, we just get buzz for it. Back in the day, they actually awarded money. Money, like $200 or something for the winner, which, cool, you know? That's cool. But I don't know if I really care to participate this time. What's going on with... What are some good new models? Pony Diffusion is still up at the top. Pretty sure I still have that version. Pony Diffusion V6, yep. Checkpoint tape. All train merge. What's going on with SD3? Highest rated SD3 of all time is just regular SD3. There are many files associated with SD3. Read the quick start guide. What is Stable Diffusion 3? SD3 is a text-to-image model released by Stability AI on June 12, 2024. Follows groundbreaking SDXL, which was launched around the same time last year. Where do I get it? You can download all SD3 safe tensors, text extors, and example comfy UI workflows from Civitai here. What do I download? Has full SD3 support. Limited support available for SD3 on automatic web 11.11. Dang. I don't want to switch to comfy UI. I'm too used to not comfy UI. Flow. Just show me the picture. Why? Looks like it's still not quite ready for my purposes here. Filters. It's really unfortunate that most of these seem really pony oriented. August 29th. That's a pretty recent update. Cool. Save that one. What is that? Live preview, okay. Like that. That looks like Amelie. You see, it's... you see, there's the issue right there. We'll just save that. And I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. I want to thank everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. Probably gonna be back on later tonight. Playing some Elden Ring, probably. And until then, I want to thank you for watching again. Like and subscribe. Check the description below for a link to my Patreon. And have yourself a good rest of your time zone. Catch you next time.